The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on a break!
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Tuesday, December 28th, 2021, Season 17, Episode number 86. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're getting you guys ready for Cowboys versus Cardinals. That's coming up this Sunday. It has been moved, if you didn't know, to a 3:25 kick time at AT&T Stadium. That will be a fun game to watch. We'll get you ready for it. Nick, let's start off first. Give me an 86.
86.
86.
Man, how about... I mean, have you ever heard of the California quake?
Yeah.
Butch Johnson were
Yeah.
86. That was back in the
Was
day.
he 86? Why did I think he was 83?
No, he's 86.
Okay,
He's 86. He used to the six shooters,
Yeah,
the touchdown, all that. He's about the third, well, you've seen the catch he didn't catch against the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You've seen that highlight.
Yeah.
He's the guy that caught that?
Yeah.
Look, Nick.
I don't know why that just bothers me.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
Caught that.
It's like in today's world, like that wouldn't even be a thing.
That
you know?
wouldn't. There's
So,
just no chance.
Trust me, and there's been a lot of times we do, highlight videos and top 10 moments, and people will say, Nick, look at this video. And I'm like, nah, take that out. He didn't catch that. They're like,
Right.
Super Bowl, like, nah, give me something else.
Yeah.
86, Butch Johnson. You got one, Dave?
I got one.
No,
You know where he's going.
I don't.
Schultz.
I'm
Right.
I'm out on this game because like when I weigh in, then I start getting the comments. People are like, "Oh, you didn't bring this guy up." I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I got
Dan Campbell?
Dan Campbell, now head coach of the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
Dalton Schultz. I mean, perfect, great.
Yeah.
I'm just.
He's
gonna-
having a great
I'm
year.
gonna stick to the.
I
Guys
just
that
got
I've
off a
covered.
show with an 86, so I have to say Isaiah Stanback.
There you go. That's a good one.
I didn't
that's
even
actually
know
a good
he wore
one.
that number.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Shout out Isaiah.
Isaiah. All right.
Isaiah.
Good. All right,
Sorry.
let's jump in. I do want to talk about one player that's been injured that sounds like maybe there's a chance he's coming back. Tyron Smith. What are we hearing?
77. It's for our French listeners. Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means 77.
Oh. I mean, get your ass back on the lineup.
Not at all. Yeah, it sounds like he's going to play.
That would have been funny. if
That's
what he said in French.
77?
77.
Okay. That makes more sense. It's just the way you
What'd you
said
say it again? Slower.
We were so off the rails already.
It's a Tuesday.
77.
77. 17 is 17 in French.
Got
So
it.
and 60 is 60.
60.
60 plus 17.
Is that how they do their numbers? Like,
Not all of them, but that's how they do that. Yeah.
okay.
You got anything else?
No. I used to be pretty good at French, but it's been a long
Took a lot of years of that in high school.
I took 6 years of French. Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
It sounded smart at the time, but like I really would just wish I
Never
knew.
could use it.
Well, I would like speaking Spanish makes so much more sense. Like
Yeah.
that is such a more useful skill.
Yeah, if you're going to live in Texas, yeah, definitely.
In America at this
True,
point.
yeah, true.
And I don't know anything about it, but I can count to 77 in French.
It's awesome.
So
Okay.
anyway,
Tyron Smith.
Tyron Smith's
We're way
looking.
off the
He's looking like he's going to play. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
He's looking like he's going to play against Arizona. That's the early word on the street. We'll have to see. But
Are you okay with that? Because I know a couple weeks ago you were saying, like, man, just let him sit and chill.
No, I'm not really okay with it, I guess, because in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, let me look at the calendar. He plays this game. He gets through it, but he gets a setback, and then he misses the Eagles game, and then 2 weeks later. So I'm already thinking,
Yeah. When's the next one?
I probably wouldn't play him. I probably wouldn't, but if he's good to go, he's good to go. I mean, you got to have this game. You gotta win.
that's the thing for me. And unfortunately, I'm going to run the rest of these numbers today because I am curious what like all of the contenders' home away splits are. But like this is sneaky important. It's not even sneaky. Why would I say it's sneaky? Like they need these wins. They need to maximize their seeding. I looked this up this morning. They are winning their home games by an average score of 38 to 22, and their road the road split is 23-20.
Oh, are you serious?
So what am I looking at here?
That's like everybody's schedule the rest of the way.
Oh no, yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about that. I don't know how much better everybody else is home
At home
versus away.
versus away,
I'm
yeah.
sure everybody's.
Well,
better at home.
I think the Cardinals. The
Cardinals are not. No,
they are great on the road,
they're
right?
way better on the
They
road.
got problems right now.
But it just what they did to Washington only emphasizes to me how important it is that this team plays as many games as possible at home. And yeah, what Denver's really the only game where they haven't played pretty damn well at home. Like I know they lost to the Raiders, they scored 33 points in that game, took it to overtime. So my point is, if Tyron can play, I'm trying to at least get the number 2 seed. Number 1 seed's not really in your control, but if you can get the 2 seed, you're guaranteed 2 home playoff games.
And that is all in your control. You win
Yes.
the final 2. You
So-
stay at you hope that you stay at 2. You need the Rams to keep
Yeah,
winning
it's
right
weird.
along with you, but
It's weird.
You got the best you can do is you got to keep winning, right?
Yeah, and then
Well, the Bucks can lose. I mean, it's not like they're.
But they don't have the kind of schedule that makes you think they're going to lose,
and
but they can. You're
Nick's,
absolutely right. They
Nick's going to come at us because the Lions just beat the Cardinals.
No, I'm
I
just
get
saying.
that.
I mean, they can though. They.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
absolutely. But
if the Saints can, if that Saints team that we just saw last night against Miami can shut out the Bucks at home, then yeah, they can be beat. They can.
and
be.
wait,
Who do they play? I don't even know.
I guess here's the deal.
The Jets.
They play the Jets
and
this
the
week.
Cardinals team that they just beat by 25.
Yeah.
So the Bucks don't get to do the whole division stuff at the end.
No, well, they
Their
played,
last game is division,
They
right?
played 3 of their last 4 against the division. Panthers
They-
are. Panthers
I guess
are their
I
season
guess you
finale.
can't do everybody that way.
Yeah. I think this is a team that I look at Tampa and I'm like, they're probably going to keep winning. So your best shot is you got to keep winning, and you got to pray the Rams keep winning.
Basically.
Because without the Rams there, then you drop back to 3 instead of 2. And that means you get a home game that first round, but that next round you are on the road.
Let me ask you this though: Do you who's going to be the 7th seed?
Okay, right now, let me tell you where they are right now. So you got the top 4. You got Green Bay, Dallas, Rams, Tampa Bay. Then you got Arizona at 5. Then you got San Francisco at 6. And you got Philadelphia at 7.
Okay, and I ask again: Do you want to be the 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take on the Eagles back to back like they did? I mean, you play them.
Bring it on. I don't care about that.
Well, here's the other thing. You beat the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 17.
They're probably not.
There is a chance that you knock them out of the playoffs.
I think they have to win out to make it.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
Because they right behind them, right now behind them, I think they've got New Orleans and Minnesota, I want to say.
Yeah.
They're both 7 and 8, one game behind them. And I think the Saints would have the tiebreak over them. But
I'd rather play the Eagles than the Vikings.
I think I agree with that. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that.
I don't know if I agree with that. I just think division games are tricky. You know how it is when you're playing division teams. It's just tricky.
Yeah,
And I recognize the irony of saying that coming off a 56-14 win.
Yeah.
But it is. It's trickier when you're playing division games just because, I think that's the Saints and the Bucks. Like division games, division teams know you better. And it's just a little different than playing an uncommon opponent.
You're right, but the Eagles just I don't know. I don't.
You're not afraid of them.
Well, they don't have guys.
I'm afraid of the team with the better quarterback, and I don't think
Right.
Jalen Hurts is that guy at this point.
Cousins
in his
is
career.
better than
He is.
He is a better passer. I don't know that he's a better quarterback because what they're doing, what Philly is doing right now, running the ball, this quarterback works for that. And he works very well for that kind of style of playing football.
I don't think it'll matter though, because if the Cowboys win the game, then Philly's probably out. If the Cowboys lose the game, then they're probably out.
They're probably not playing
Of
Philly
the
in the
two.
first round. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's super.
Yeah, so
likely.
either way, it's not likely that. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with San Francisco and Philly because they're both 8 and 7. So Philly could
Their
jump up.
quarterback got hurt too, right?
Yeah. He has that might be good for him. But they may actually Philly may actually jump up to the 6, which if they beat Dallas, and Dallas may drop to the 3, so they still may get them. So there's still a lot to be figured out. The point I think that all of us are trying to make is Dallas, to secure the best seed possible, needs to win out. They need those final 2 games, and then they need a little help along the way with the Rams.
And it's annoying because typically at this time of year, the results of this week can kind of set it in stone a week ahead of time, but that doesn't seem likely because unless like the Rams lose and the Cowboys win and the Buccaneers win and the Packers win, then maybe that would set. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that both of these games, there's still going to be something to play for no matter what happens.
Right.
So it's kind of a bummer in the sense of like, yeah, I'd love to rest Zeke and Tyron and Tony and all these guys, but is it worth not having the 2 seed? And I don't think it is. And going back to what originally prompted this, Thielen and Secchi have played well enough that I'm okay risking the chance that he aggravates his injury. I don't want that to happen, but I'd rather have Tyron out there for games that can get me a better playoff season.
Can't you make that argument the other way? Can't you also say, well, they've played well enough that I'd rather keep resting Tyron, I'm still trying to win this game.
Good point.
Still trying to win, hoping that that they play well, but I'm going to just save Tyron for the playoffs. Or I think he's a good enough player that he can do that. Like he can just go right into your playoff game and go do
Absolutely.
it.
We've seen him do it. Like he's not one of those guys that comes back from injury and he needs a game or two to kind of knock the rust off. He tends to be Tyron
because it's not just his ankle; it's just the neck and the back and the ankle. I mean, the elbow and all that stuff. So you're resting it all when you rest him. So
no, I don't disagree with you,
Dave. You actually brought up an interesting question I have for you guys, and this is hypothetical, but let's assume Dallas didn't have anything to play for in Week 18, but Philly is playing to get into the playoffs. Would you play your players just to knock them out?
No.
Or would you rest your guys?
I would rest my guys if there was nothing at all to be gained from that game other
You're
than
cemented at 3, which is probably what would be the scenario, 3 or 4. You're cemented there. If you're there, you're sitting your guys.
I'm resting my players.
Yes,
I don't
care what Philly does. I mean, it doesn't.
But it could be that's your chance to get them out, and you don't have to face them in the first round.
I'm
not. You don't care about.
I'm not afraid of Philadelphia. Yeah. They're not good. No, and I know famous last words. I get it. Yeah. I'm not. Oh my God, we gotta play because Philly might get into the playoffs. No, they're not good. Yeah. They're not a good.
It's team. Like we knocked you out of the playoffs. Cool, I knocked Dak out. I mean that's.
Seriously. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Right, I'm just saying that. No
bad
thanks.
idea.
No thanks.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Bucky Brooks of NFL Network. We're going to talk some Arizona offense versus the Dallas defense. When we come right back, DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at Stetson.com/cowboys.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
Head to AT&T Stadium on Saturday, January the 1st to experience Rally Day presented by SeatGeek. Get ready to cheer on your Cowboys with tours of AT&T Stadium, appearances by the Cowboys cheerleaders, alumni, ticket giveaways, and more. Visit attstadium.com/Rally Days for tickets and more information.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the Break Live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are joined right now by Bucky Brooks of NFL Network. We're going to talk some Arizona offense versus Dallas defense. So let's start first, Bucky. I want to know, from your perspective, you've seen both these players. Is Micah Parsons capable of containing Kyler Murray?
I think so, because Kyler Murray doesn't look to run all the time. Like, he's been a little more hesitant and selective when it comes to running. But I think now with this team in the middle of a slide, I think all things are off. I think he'll do anything. But yeah, Micah is certainly athletic enough to make it uncomfortable for Kyler Murray in and around the pocket.
How did the Lions beat them?
Beat them up, physically beat them up. We can say a lot of things about
Kneecaps.
the Lions and their record, but they play hard. No, they play hard. They're a physical football team, and what they did is they took the fight to the Cardinals. They also caught the Cardinals at the right time. Cardinals were kind of sleepwalking after getting beat by the Rams, walked into there, weren't ready to play, and they got hit in the face. And I think what people have seen, like, they are a team that typically had dictated the terms early in the year with their aggressiveness and physicality. Well, the tables have turned, and people are kind of utilizing that formula against them, and they haven't responded well. And so I think the recipe for dealing with the Cardinals in general is you want to make it a fist fight. You want to make it one of those physical games and see if they have the ability to withstand it.
Buck, I'm glad you mentioned Kyler being a little more hesitant to run. Because, I mean, yeah, since his injury, that hasn't been a big thing. I think he only ran for 3 yards in that loss to Detroit. But the last 2 weeks, I mean, he had 74 yards on Saturday against Indianapolis. So, like, and you kind of alluded to this, do you expect them to make more use of that because it makes them so much more dangerous, or is it not worth the risk of him aggravating that injury?
No, I think he did it, and he kind of popped the play.
Lose our guy.
Did we lose him?
He's trying.
There we go. Yeah. Sorry, you're back now.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, so, like, look, he had a big run. He had a 52-yard run in that game, and then he selected, but they're not using them the same way. They're not really running zone read and some of that other stuff that they were running early in his career. But I think now, man, when you lost the way that they've lost and you're in jeopardy of kind of falling down the seedings, I think you have to unleash Kyler and let him do whatever you can to keep this offense going.
So they are now without DeAndre Hopkins, and I know they played some games earlier this season without him as well. How much does this offense change, and in what ways does it change without Hopkins?
They don't have anybody on the perimeter that scares you outside of Zach Ertz. And Zach Ertz only troubles you a little bit because he can control the middle of the field. But there's not a receiver out there that you're worried about. No one that demands a double team. No one that demands special attention like Trayvon Diggs traveling and those things. The loss of DeAndre Hopkins really hurts him. And he's a different type player because he's not a speedster, but he wins 50-50 balls. Without that element on the field, it becomes very pedestrian. That's why we're seeing them engage in these tough battles where they're not scoring the amount of points that they were scoring early in the year. And the running game has not been as effective and as prevalent in their game plan as it had been early in the year.
How much does that affect their red zone? Because I know in the red zone, he's another guy that can, like you said, he can catch the 50-50 ball. They throw it up to him a lot. How much is that affecting their ability to be effective in the red zone?
Well, I mean, he's a huge loss because he is an outstanding red zone weapon, does a great job catching the ball when it's contested. Without him, now they're kind of leaning on other guys, unknown, and those guys, but they don't have a dominant player that you can count on. And A.J. Green is not the A.J. Green that the name used to represent. Like, he's a solid player. So without those weapons, you're seeing that they're having a tough time consistently moving the ball, consistently putting the ball in the end zone has been one of the reasons why they've struggled.
This is that time of year where we ask you about the Cowboys' fourth cornerback, but I wanted to get your thoughts on how you thought Kelvin Joseph played in his first start, and he got a lot of snaps the other night. Yeah,
he finally got a chance to play, and I think it's a good thing for him to get on the field. look, man, the Cowboys have been playing so well.
Womp womp.
I think you was going to say good things about Kelvin Joseph.
Bucky, no.
Sound like we started that way, yeah.
Cowboys are playing so well that you put anybody at cornerback. You can put Dave at cornerback, and he'd play well.
I don't know about that, man.
I kind of want to see that.
No.
Against who?
No, you don't.
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk?
Christian Kirk.
Okay.
Bad idea?
That's what my question was going to be.
About Christian Kirk?
Well, between Kirk and Rondell Moore, both. But it's interesting. From what I understand, I mean, and this makes sense, but them not having Hopkins is forcing them to play those guys out of position. Like Kirk has been a great slot receiver for most of the season. Yep. Rondell Moore is, I mean, he's just get him the ball however you can. But those
fast.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that about Christian Kirk. Doesn't scare anybody because I mean, if you're an Arkansas fan and you've watched him at A&M, my God, he scored about.
And
20
by the way,
touchdowns. And last year
he's doing it this year too. Like he's playing pretty well this year.
Last year he went 80. Did he go 80 on the Cowboys last year?
Yeah. He's just not Hopkins, but he's a very formidable opponent.
Not to take credit away from Christian Kirk, but the Cowboys just decided not to cover him on that play. But he is having the best season of his pro career. He's got 69 targets, nice, for 860 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, he's having a nice year.
We got Bucky on the phone.
Yep.
All right.
What's up, Buck?
Re-ask your question.
Yeah, I was asking you about Kelvin Joseph and what your thoughts are in his first game. He played a lot of snaps.
No, I thought like he did a solid job considering he hadn't played much at all this year. And I understand why the Cowboys hadn't played him because they were playing so well on defense. But to see the young guy go out there like he battled and competed, it wasn't always pretty, but I think he certainly can get out there. But it's a lot easier to play DB when you got the pass rush doing what they're doing. I mean, they mask a lot of flaws because you don't have a lot of time to really go at people. But I think for his first opportunity on the field, I think it was passing.
Buck, we were just talking about this while we were waiting to get you back. Christian Kirk is having a really nice year for them. I assume most of that's been in the slot, so what has the Hopkins injury done for him? I mean, is he playing out of position right now, or how might the Cardinals try to get him going in this game?
This is more balls are going in his direction. Like you remove a guy who probably gets 10 to 12 targets a game, and DeAndre Hopkins, the ball has to go somewhere else. And so Kirk has benefited from that. He's a good player, a nice number 3 receiver. I wouldn't call him like a compliment or a solid number 2, but he's effective. If you don't keep your eyes on him, you don't pay attention to what he's doing and where he's at, he can rack up a 100-yard game. But the thing is, he's not necessarily what I would call an impact player. It's just steady drip production, but it's not big plays, splash plays, the kind that make you as a defense coordinator say, okay, you need to turn off the faucet.
All right, Bucky, man, we appreciate you joining us. We'll have you back tomorrow. We'll talk some of this Arizona defense versus the Cowboys offense. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back. We'll have some more questions for these guys about this matchup. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbent unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/Cowboys.
Back to the break.
Dak Prescott is the nominee for the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award presented by Nationwide. Recognize NFL players for outstanding community service. Go to his website, faithfightfinishfoundation.com. Vote for him on Twitter. Figure out how to do that by January 17th. Vote for Dak. He needs your votes.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star.
Didn't do it for the Pro Bowl, but it's okay. Didn't vote for him for the Pro Bowl.
Why didn't you vote for him?
No, I'm saying the fans didn't.
Oh, I thought you didn't vote for him.
I don't vote for the Pro Bowl.
You don't get a ballot?
We all get a ballot.
That's my point.
I did not do that.
You decided not to vote for him?
No.
Okay. All right.
He didn't play well when it was time to vote.
All right.
That's what happened with him and Zeke and a lot of guys. When it was time to cast the ballot. I think I've said this before. Like if the president's going to, candidate's going to say some really stupid things, I wouldn't do it on November the 1st. You know,
bad idea. Timing matters.
Yeah, when people are about to go to the ballot, don't suck in November. And that's kind of what happened. I mean, unfortunately, Dak and Zeke and those guys picked a bad month to slack off.
Point.
Schultz had a shot.
Because I think
CD.
I think we talked about it in late September. We were like, man, they got 12 people in the Pro Bowl. Like everybody's gonna make the Pro Bowl, and then November came.
And I think there's 15 guys on the list, like alternates and guys. But now the alternates run pretty deep.
Yeah.
They it's not just first guy. They have like second, third alternate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think, there's at least 2 or 3 more guys that I think have a chance to get on the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick would not be a very good campaign manager, would he?
I think
Nick's patience isn't good enough for him to be a campaign manager.
There is no way.
I think
he'd lose it.
Okay, that's
he would
fair.
lose it. He would absolutely lose it.
I thought that was good advice. Don't suck in crunch time.
No, that's fair.
Great advice.
That's fair.
Across life.
That's fair. I'm just saying, Nick as a campaign manager, that's not a good idea.
No.
You got to be very even, I think, to be a good campaign manager. That's not Nick.
Oh, I'm not even keel.
No, you
Nick
are
would
not.
be like, man, you suck.
No.
That's why you didn't win.
Right. And not only that, but like Nick would lose it with voters. He would lose it like that. Yeah, you would have some moments because you can't. You know how it is. When somebody really gets on your nerves, like you can see it in your eyes. It's like, Nick, don't do it. Don't do it.
He'll
Don't.
start
Oh, he
rubbing
did it.
his face.
Right, he did
rubs
it.
his eyes,
Yeah.
rubs his face.
He just can't stop himself. All right, final segment.
I stopped myself. Trust me, I stopped myself.
That's terrifying.
Right. It really is. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about these coordinators. Yesterday, Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore both talked to the media. There's been some talk around the NFL because the rules have changed with regards to coaches that will get opportunities to be able to interview for head coaching jobs, being able to do that over the last 2 weeks of the season, actually starting now. And you guys in the media ask Dan Quinn specifically about this, and Kellen Moore, what they have to say about the potential head coaching opportunities that may be out there for them.
Probably what you would expect, just that they're focused on what they're focused on right now. I thought they were both pretty honest about, like, if the right situation comes along, that would be awesome. Like, I'd be honored by the opportunity. But Dan Quinn had this whole it was great. He was like, I didn't take this job thinking about the job I was going to have next. Like, I'm just having a blast here working with these guys. We're doing great stuff. And Kellen Moore, Kellen's been getting asked about this all year because, like, how hot they started, and then they played Philly, who he interviewed with last year, so there's a connection there. A couple college jobs have come open, which Kellen Moore was never going to coach TCU. I don't know why that was a thing, but so he's been answering that all year, and so he said the same thing. He's like, that would be awesome when the time is right, but we're focused on what we got to do here. I think it's interesting because the rules change. Starting today, teams with head coaching vacancies can request to interview assistants, and I think that's great. Dan Quinn had he talked about that too, of just like, that's awesome for coaches to kind of be able to get a jump start on that, and you're not just waiting until, because you know how this goes, where you're focused, and then all of a sudden the season's over and it's almost like the rug got pulled out from under you. But there's such an unprecedented number of teams that are still in the playoff chase. There's no openings right now. Like Jacksonville and Vegas are the only openings in the league right now. So there aren't that many teams that would even be able to ask to interview them. But I would imagine that'll change in the next, maybe if not in the next week, then in the next 2 weeks for sure. Like by the time the playoffs get here, it'll be a different story.
And it's very interesting because one of the things I've heard just talking to different people around football about those interviews, I think all of us as regular people hear an interview and you think, okay, just be prepared to go and answer some questions and talk. This is a different kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be asked questions about, how would you handle training camp? How would you schedule this? How would you schedule? Like there are some really, really in-depth plans that these guys have to be prepared to talk about with these teams if they're asked to interview. And it helps for Dan Quinn because he has the experience of being a head coach, so there's probably a lot of that he can lean on. For somebody like Kellen Moore, I would assume putting together those kinds of plans requires a bit of preparation and getting ready for that to be able to go into that interview and really be prepared to talk about it.
You're right. I think Kellen Moore might have an easier road than Dan Quinn when it comes to that interview process because you saying, oh, well, you've done it. But Dan Quinn can't just say that all the time. He can't just say, I did this, I did this, I did this. Well, yeah, you got fired in the middle of the year.
He also took his team to a Super Bowl.
I understand. And then if we really want to go there, we can go there.
Yeah, but taking your team to Super Bowl, how many coaches have done this?
I understand, but I'm saying, and Dan Quinn is great at figuring it out. Like he's figured out this defense. So I'm just saying, but the coaches that have done it before, especially him, he's got to have, and I think he will. He's got to have different answers than just leaning on. This is what I did in Atlanta. He's going to say, I've done that. And McCarthy's a good example of that because McCarthy was like, he's done it all in Green Bay, but he got fired. Right. And he was a good example of kind of showing and adapting to what has changed. Use your history when it's there. Also know that the NFL and things have changed and kind of learn how to adapt.
Yes, I agree with that. I think the thing is, it still makes it easier because he knows he has a platform for it. So he knows, I know I got to have a plan for training camp. I know I got to have a plan for OTAs. I know I have to have a plan for this contingency and that contingency and that contingency. My plan might have changed a bit. I may have altered some things because I've learned some things in the years since I've been a head coach, but it does give him a basis, right? It gives him a basis to kind of know what he's doing to be able to answer those questions. Yeah. I think that makes it a lot easier for him than for Kellen. But here's my question for you guys, and I want to take this one at a time for each one of these guys. Tell me, what do you think is the best characteristic that would make each of these guys a good head coaching candidate? Let's start first with Dan Quinn.
Oh, wow. I mean, just from
your experiences with them this year.
Which is a shame because just like everything else the last 2 years, like the amount of I'm very limited in how much I get to deal with Dan Quinn. All those interactions have been fantastic. He's great with the media. He's a very approachable guy. I think the thing I like about Dan Quinn, I mean, regardless of how you feel about how it went in Atlanta, you can't deny that he's been there before. Like he's done it. He's got a lot of experience with that. But really, what I like about him is probably the adaptability and the approachability. Like the way, like he's just adapted this defense and his weekly game plan to suit his players' strengths. And like to a man, they all adore him. And so knowing that he can, I would guess, very easily win over the locker room, and then will also tailor whatever he's doing to fit what he has, the way that he has here. Probably that.
Yeah, I think as a coach, you've got to learn. You got to find the balance of like, this is what I do, and I do this well, and this is what's worked for me in the past, and this is my style and the style of players that I want. But also, like Dave said, you got to also, you don't always get who you want. You got to deal with who's there. And I don't say this in a bad way, but it's like he's not going to go to the combine and pick out a guy like Jordan Lewis and say, put him on my team. He comes here, Jordan Lewis is on the team, and he's played fairly well up and down since he's gotten here. He comes here and he says, all right, this guy's under contract. He's going to be in the mix. He's a pretty good cover guy. And he's made Jordan Lewis into a really, really good player. And Jordan's had a great year. And I think it's a good example of this isn't always my preference, but like I'm going to take what I take. He also wants Jaron Kearse because he thinks he has a vision for him. But I think it's that mixture of this is the guys I want, but I'm also able to adapt and figure out other things as well. And like Dave also said, the players love him. Hey, he treats him like a man. You know, he's the smoothest cusser I've ever seen too. I mean, he will just throw in a cuss word, and you're like, what? He say that? Like, yeah, he did. But I was like, oh, okay.
See that, and I think I love that in a weird way.
Gotta have that too.
It just encapsulates what I like about Dan Quinn is like, I don't think, like, we talked for so long about how, like, well, the Jason Garrett you get at the podium is so much different than the guy that the players see. I don't really think that's the case with Dan Quinn. Like, he just gets up there and he's like, yeah, we effing, like, you know, we really effed that up. And just what, like, he's not even approaching it like, I am at the podium. I am doing my coach thing. He's just like, yeah.
We messed that up.
I'm Dan, and this is what I think about what happened.
How we doing, guys?
And I think the players.
Well, you just lost in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Not doing great.
Exactly.
I never understood how he would open up a press conference after a loss. Tough loss. You just lost in overtime because the guy dropped the ball or whatever, and he's just like, I mean, how we doing, guys?
He believed in consistency.
He did.
Which there's a place for that, but he believed in consistency to a fault.
No doubt.
I wasn't trying to turn this into a Jason Garrett slander session. I think Dan Quinn seems like he's just himself, and players respond to that probably more than anything. Of just like, I just don't get the feeling that there's like a lot of politics with Dan Quinn, and players appreciate that.
So that's the easy one.
Yeah, greatest asset of Kellen Moore as a potential head coaching candidate.
I think he's incredibly smart. I think he has a very great grasp on where this league is going in terms of trends and the way you call and establish an offense. And I know, like, we kind of joke that he's kind of nerdy or whatever, but like he's a young guy. I think he relates to players. I know his pro career wasn't anything that anybody's going to remember, but like I think he has played football at a high level. I think he's got a certain amount of cachet there where it's like, okay, like you look at what this guy did in college and what he's done as a coach to this point. I think it's easy for him to win people's trust that he knows what he's talking about when it comes to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough situation for him. You know, if he goes to another team, and you know, depending on what they have on offense, you know, do they have some pieces? It's not going to be like this. And if they had pieces like this, then the coach previously probably wouldn't have been fired. Mm-hmm. He's in a unique spot too because he was on the team as a quarterback with Dak when Dak was drafted. So they have a different relationship that way. And then he helped him a lot. You know, he helped him more than the starter did. Everyone knows that. And then he becomes his quarterback coach and now the offensive coordinator. So they've been able to have a relationship that will be unlike anything else he's done before. I think he's relatable. I think he can do it, and he's very, very smart. But it will be a challenge because this has kind of been molded into this spot of offensive coordinator, and that won't be the case if you go somewhere else.
Yeah, I do. When I think about like an opportunity for Kellen, I just lean toward thinking like if he was going to go somewhere that was about to draft a quarterback and he's going to have the chance to like do that all over again, as opposed to going somewhere with like an established veteran. Not saying that he couldn't do that, but maybe it would be easier for him to do it organically the way he did with Dak.
Look at the two spots that are open. One of them is that way. It's got a quarterback that's, with Jacksonville.
I would be really excited to see Kellen Moore get a chance to coach Trevor Lawrence. That would be fun.
I actually think that's a situation that looks like it would be a good situation for somebody like him. If the owner were the type of guy that's willing to give him a long runway. Because that's not a quick rebuild, I don't think. I don't think Jacksonville's one of those places that you're going to rebuild quickly.
They're keeping their GM, which I don't know if that's a great idea. I don't know. Yeah, that gives me pause.
And then the other job that's open is a little more dysfunctional over there with the Raiders.
Yeah.
That's going to be, I don't care who you are, it's going to be a hard city to coach in. Just because I think there's a lot of distraction there. Every city has its distractions, but I think that city has a lot of distractions, and I think that's a challenge.
I'm glad, and just to circle back on that like I think that an easy thing to knock Kellen for, and I agree to a point, is like it's hard for me to imagine him leading a locker room of like 70 players and 30 other coaches and all the personalities and the egos that go into that, but then. At the same time, like look around the league, Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, even I know it sounds silly now, but like Sean McVay had no like NFL cachet when he got the Rams job. And so I think that's not as big of an obstacle as I think a lot of people want to make it out to be.
But
like Kellen fits right in the mold of a lot of these successful hires over the last 3 or 4
years. But from a personality standpoint, that's where I wonder. And I haven't spent enough time around Kellen to know. I think you have to have a very commanding presence if you're going to be that guy. Like, I think McVay, he command, like, you look at the way he kind of presents himself, he commands a certain,
and I think, I think that's probably something Kellen would have to work on as a head coach, but I do know he's got far more personality than he likes to show.
I believe in that. I believe that, yeah. I believe that.
So it would be interesting to see what that looked like. And another thing, too, is like, I think Kellen Moore understands the situation he's in right now. Yeah. Like, he's got a very visible, high-profile head coach with an ego of his own who Mike McCarthy, I think, didn't mind having Kellen Moore here, but he still, Mike McCarthy didn't handpick him. So he's like, I'm not the coach's guy. I'm getting a lot of credit for this offense. Like, I just need to stay in my lane and not be a thorn in Mike McCarthy's side. So I wonder if he got into his own situation where he was calling the shots. I wonder what that would look like. It's hard to imagine, honestly, because Kellen's been here since 2015, and he's been so low-key the entire time. Like, it's hard to imagine in any other way. But
which would be harder to replace for Dallas?
Dan Quinn.
They asked me this on the radio today, and I didn't want to answer it. And I lean toward, I put so much value on like the quarterback play caller. You want those two guys in sync. You want the people in charge of your offense like in lockstep. But there's so much talent on this offense that I think it sells itself, and the ability to like work with a Dak Prescott, I think you could get yourself a hell of a pool of candidates if you did have to replace Kellen. Just haven't seen anything like what Dan Quinn's done with this defense in the last 10 years.
I think the biggest key to that is you got to know how to use Micah Parsons for Micah Parsons to be the Micah Parsons that we've seen this year. It would have been very comfortable for a lot of defensive coordinators to just keep him at linebacker, and he would have been a guy that was at the top of the league in tackles. He would have made some splash plays, sideline to sideline. You may have seen some stuff in coverage. You probably wouldn't have seen him with his hand on the ground rushing the passer. And so that's where I'm like, I want a defensive coordinator, whoever he is, if Dan Quinn leaves, I need somebody that knows how to use a rare talent like Micah in all those different ways and give him those opportunities rather than just kind of putting him in a box and asking him to do that great. Because he can do it. I just think you're not going to get the most out of him.
I would, and I think the world of Kellen. Through this whole tough 6 weeks or so, like I don't put too much of that on him. I mean, everybody had a hand in it, but I don't think he just lost the plot. I think he's a really good coach. I'd be sad if he left, but if you're making me say one, I say Dan.
All right. That's a wrap. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk tomorrow about the Arizona defense versus the Cowboys offense. Till then, for Nick Keep and Dave Hellman, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!